All right, so last time we created a rough mouth, um, one that's a little bit set up for rigging your animation. Let's do a little bit more shaping and work on the ears. So what I'd like to do is take a look at the proportions of the head. So ideally, if the center of my head is roughly right here, the back of the head needs to be the same essentially width as the front. So what I'm going to do is tab over to sculpt mode and just with my grab brush. Let's see, it doesn't seem to be. Oh, you know what? Maybe we should make sure that we have the head selected. There we go. Now we can follow. Okay. So I'm just going to hit F to expand that. And I'm just pulling this out so that I get equal spacing. On respect to the ear, I'm going to pull that forward, pull this back a little bit, and then just sort of up. Now, the back of the ears, let's go to the front. It's a little bit too big. It's a little bit too big here. Let's make sure we're in sculpt mode. I'm going to pull that in a good amount. I still want to keep it kind of cartoony, but just not that crazy. And then I want to pull all that forward a little bit more. Let's get that back of the head going to a lot more than this. Same thing with the top, just checking the proportions. So ideally what you're trying to do is, especially I think it's a good exercise to always eyeball this, because it helps you build those spatial relationships in your head. Now, what I normally do is the distance from the forehead, or the top of the eyebrows to the top of the forehead, should be the same distance to the bottom of the nose to the bottom of the chin. Now, this isn't always going to be the case, but it's probably the best way to build a little bit more appealing characters. So let's get this going. I tend to round this off a little bit more here. This is looking good. Let's take a look. The orthographic, pretty good. Now for the ears, what you want to do is make sure that as you're sculpting, you have dyne topo on, because as you start to sculpt, you'll see, and there's a way to change the pressure. It'll start to pull, but when you have dyne topo on, you hold shift, it starts to add a little more geometry. It doesn't affect it back here. So I'm just kind of, let's make sure. So all I do at first is I'm just, again, generic head. So blocking out here, carving in a little bit inside of here. And that's it at first for the cartoony character. For the front of the ear is just getting this all carved in. Smooth that. And I like to kind of give it a little bit like that, a little bit like this. Let's hit Control R. Oh, let's deselect that top, and then hit Control R to clean that up. See, clean it up a little bit better. And then for the back of the ear, I usually create like a little dome area. This is where the skin connects, and then I smooth that out. So something like this. As you zoom out, you can see that's where the ear connects to the head and the back. Let's create the two bones that sit at the back of the skull. Just kind of pulling that out. That helps to better shape it. Not too bad. I'm going to pull this back a little bit too, so I get a nice curve in the back of the neck. Same thing leading from the front. I might pull those ears a little bit forward more. And then what I want to do is, actually I'm looking at, he doesn't have much of a jawline. And again, this is a generic head, so I said he, but you can really make it any ethnicity as if you want. And I think maybe in a later video we'll go ahead and make this maybe we'll make a cartoon, like a girl's head and a boy's head out of this. You know what we'll do next is actually, let's go ahead and let's let's get these eyes connected to the head. So you can see, remember we put a modifier on the lower lids and the upper lids in this eyeball. So for the lower ones, I'm just going to hover over here, hit Control A. Same thing here, hit Control A. Then I'm going to hold Shift and select each one of these. Hit Control J. Hit Tab to go to sculpt mode, and then hit Control R and make it all one piece. You know what, I'm going to go a little bit cleaner. There we go. And now what I can do is just go in here and polish, holding Shift and lightly tapping. And there's your eyes connected to the head. What we'll do in the next video is we'll take a look at making some hair.